If you support grieving people, you probably already know a lot about grief. You know it's not linear. You know that there's no right thing to say to someone who's going through a loss. And you know that people need to feel heard and not like you're trying to fix them. But knowing all of that and knowing what to actually offer in the moment is not always the same thing. That gap is what this training is all about. Grief shows up whether or not your work is specifically focused on grief. It can come through all types of loss: divorce, addiction, infertility, and mourning the life we expected to have. Sometimes your client names it as grief. Sometimes they don't, but you know it's in the room. And as a helping professional, you're being asked to meet it. And of course, you do so with a lot of care. Caring matters enormously. Compassion, listening, validation are all essential. But there are moments when your client needs more than "that makes sense" or "what you're feeling is normal." They may be asking, "what do I do with this grief?" And you may be wondering the same thing. That doesn't mean you're not skilled or you don't care. It means you need practical ways to work with what is happening right now. Now, I love grief theory. I'm a thanatologist, so understanding the research and the field matters very deeply to me. But theory does not always tell you what to do when someone is overwhelmed, struggling with guilt, rethinking their identity, or trying to figure out how to live with what happened. Theory helps us understand the landscape. A framework helps us decide what might actually help in the moment. A good framework is not a rigid formula. It should give you enough structure to know where to look and what to consider, while leaving plenty of room for the person's story, culture, grieving style, and pace. That is what I wanted in my own work. Something practical enough to use, but spacious enough to honor the individuality of grief. You need a framework you can trust. The Mindfulness and Grief System is an 8-step framework emerged from my work with grieving people. It's based in grief theory, mindfulness, yoga therapy, journaling, and self-care. It helps you know what needs attention in the moment and what to do. Is the person dysregulated, caught in rumination, struggling with self-criticism, or avoiding something painful? Maybe they're trying to stay connected to the person who died and figuring out how to do that. And of course, so many people eventually need to figure out how to rebuild their identity and live a meaningful life. This framework helps you connect what you are seeing and what your client needs with a practice that can help them in the moment. And this work is not just about what you offer your clients. You learn how to practice it yourself. Most of us do not come to grief work untouched by our own grief, and we certainly don't stay here and not experience it. We have our own losses, our own stress, and our own reactions to the stories we hear. So part of becoming more skillful in this work is learning how to notice what's happening in you and tend to your own grief and stay connected to your own practice so that it's sustainable and satisfying. One of my graduates described it this way. Personally, she moved from doing mindfulness to actually living it. Professionally, she found herself fixing less, allowing more, and trusting the process. And over time, the practices she learned for her clients became her own essential form of self-care. That's the kind of change I want this training to support. Not just more information, but a different way of being with the work. Grief is something we will all experience, but no two people experience it the same way. That's why we need both structure and flexibility. This framework gives you something to orient to, while the person in front of you shows you how the work will unfold. You're not moving someone through fixed stages or something that tells them how they should feel. You're helping them work with what's actually here in the present. This is also about learning what belongs to you and what does not. Your role is to bring presence, skill, ethics, boundaries, and useful tools. You are not responsible for carrying someone else's grief or doing their emotional work for them. When that distinction is clearer, the work can become more sustainable and you can support people deeply without taking everything home. The Mindfulness and Grief Coach Certification is where you build the knowledge, the tools, and the confidence to do this work well. If you want a practical, evidence-based, mindfulness-centered, trauma-sensitive way to support grieving people while also tending to yourself, I would love to have you join me in the next Mindfulness and Grief Coach Certification training. You can love your work again, and you can learn more and enroll at heatherstang.com/coach. And if you have questions while you're there, click on the Meet with Heather button. I'm happy to spend some one-on-one time with you to help you see if this is a fit. I hope to see you there.